Hey guys, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have my TBR for June. Now, normally when I do my TBR, Presley comes and helps me. However, I'm currently filming during nap time, and so we are not going to have him pick any books for me today. This is something that I like doing every single month, but it's not a big deal that I'm not doing it today. Maybe I'll have a month in the future where I let him pick every book for me to read, because I do think that would be a fun idea. So we are going to skip him picking books for me. Normally he does pick my Readathon book for the month, and for the month of June, it is going to be books that have names and titles in the prompt. Now, I'm also doing a readathon for June, the Clear Your Shit Readathon 1.5, so like 1.5. This is a mini readathon. The first readathon was last November and December, and I think we're going again this November, December, that kind of thing. And it is going to be for the whole month of June. And we have 8 prompts on a bingo board with 1 free space. And one of the books that I have picked out for it does actually have a name in the title, so I'm going to cover that, but we'll talk about it when we go through the readathon prompts. Right before we get to that, the other thing I do every single month is a TBR bucket pick. And so I do have 8 books picked out for June, but I think we're still gonna do a TBR bucket pick. So I figured let's get that out of the way now in case I can actually fit it into the TBR for this readathon, and then I might end up switching a book out. But we shall see. Let's do that. So here I have my bucket. And the book is on a pink paper. It is going to be The Warded Man by Peter V. Brett. Okay, let me go grab that. I have had this book for a while, and so I don't fully remember what it's about. Okay, so this is the book here, The Warded Man by Peter V. Brett. I don't know much about this. I do believe it is going to be some sort of adult fantasy. I actually don't even know if it's a high fantasy or not, but the back says, as darkness falls after sunset, the Corlings rise, demons who possess supernatural powers and burn with a consuming hatred of humanity. For hundreds of years, the demons have terrorized the night, slowly culling the human herd that shelters behind magical wards, symbols of power whose origins are lost in myth and whose protection is terrifyingly fragile. It was not always this way. Once, men and women battled the Corlings on equal terms, but those days are gone. Night by night, the demons grow stronger, while human numbers dwindle under their relentless assault. Now, with hope for the future fading, 3 young survivors of vicious demon attacks will dare the impossible, stepping beyond the crumbling safety of the wards to risk everything in a desperate quest to regain the secrets of the past. Together, they will stand against the night. So yeah, it's definitely some sort of fantasy. I don't even remember when I fully picked this up. It has been on my shelves for a few years at least, but I definitely remember buying it new in Barnes & Noble, probably on the recommendation of one of my coworkers when I worked there. I just don't fully remember why I bought it. So this is definitely one of those books that like I picked out of the TBR bucket, and I'm not as excited for it, mostly because I don't remember why I picked it up. It doesn't sound bad or anything like that, but I just don't know what my reasoning was when I first bought this. But this will be our TBR bucket pick for June. And then I did look at our infographic here for the Clear Your Shit Readathon. Like I said before, it is going to be like a bingo board type of thing where we do have 9 spaces. The middle one is a free space, and I did pick 1 book for each space. We're going to go through them as I talk about my TBR. And I actually do think The Warded Man could potentially fit for a couple of these. However, I am not entirely too sure. So I am going to share the TBR that I had originally picked out before I picked out a TBR bucket pick. And then during the month, if I do decide that that one fits better for a certain prompt, I will switch it out and just not read the other book. So we're going to go from the top left on our graphic, and the first prompt is Candles, which is a book with a white or black cover. And so I picked the like blackest book cover I could find, and that is going to be Death Note Black Edition Volume 4 by Sugumi Oba. I actually did read the first volume in this black edition a couple months ago. I read volumes 2 and 3 last month. I haven't read any in this month yet, but I do want to get back into this series, so I'm going to pick up Volume 4 in June. It is wholly black and white. So I figured this fit perfectly for the prompt. It even has black sprayed edges, and this does actually contain 2 volumes of Death Note. Since these are the black editions, they usually have, I think, 2 for each book, although the last one might have 3. So even though this is volume 4, it's going to contain volumes 7 and 8 in the original format. I also think most people know what Death Note is about. I'm not entirely too sure where we're going with this volume here. I have watched most of the anime before, so I have a good sense of what this series is, but I don't know when things deviate, and I've never finished the anime, so I also don't know when things are going to stop happening that I've already seen before. But basically, this is a series that follows Light Yagami, who does end up with a Death Note, which is a notebook from a Shinigami where you can write down somebody's name and like 40 seconds later they die of a heart attack. And there is this whole like back and forth between him, who is using this Death Note to kill off like the bad people in society, and the detectives trying to figure out who's doing what. So it does have a lot of very smart dialogue and stuff like that in here. It's also really creepy at parts. I really liked the first 3 volumes of the Black Edition, so I'm excited to continue. The next prompt is for Athema, or a book in a genre you don't normally read. For me, I'm going to be going with Less by Andrew Sean Greer. This is a book that is a contemporary, which is probably my least read genre, unless that contemporary book is like a romance book, but it is also literary, and that is just definitely something I don't normally reach for, but I was intrigued by the premise here, and so we're gonna try it out. It's also not too long. I think this is less than 300 pages. Yeah, just around 260. So this shouldn't be a very long read, and I do want to branch out in my reading a little bit more. I mostly read fantasy, sci-fi, romance, that kind of stuff, so I never really reach for literary contemporary fiction, and so that's what we're going to be trying out. And so basically this is about a man, I believe he is about to turn 50, and he is a writer. He has been turning down a lot of opportunities to appear places, but he receives an invitation in the mail for his ex-boyfriend's wedding, and decides now is the perfect time to accept all of the invitations to basically every like literary convention anywhere, so that he can avoid going to this wedding. And I think it's also supposed to be like sort of a take on like Around the World in 80 Days sort of thing. He's going to be going to different places to do that thing, and that's all I really know. But again, like I said, it sounded sort of interesting, even though it is a genre I never pick up. Then we have Cauldron, or a book featuring a magical object. For this one, I'm going with Deltora Shadowlands by Emily Rhoda. This is the entire Deltora Shadowlands series. I actually do believe it's only 3 books, but I have the whole thing right here. This is a sequel series to Deltora Quest, which I absolutely love. I want to say it's a slightly younger age group than middle grade, but it's still not like a super young reading style. It is just a much like shorter series than a lot of the middle grade books out, but that one I absolutely love. The whole concept of it is so good, and in that book we have a magical belt with like magical stones, and I do believe we are going to have some sort of magical object in this one as well. So basically this one, like I said, is going to be a sequel to the first series, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but in order to help defeat the evil that is still overshadowing this country a little bit, our main characters are going to be on a quest to find a powerful weapon. To me, that sounds like there is going to be some sort of magical object, so that's what I'm going with. The next prompt is Bells, or a comfort read. For me, one of my favorite types of books that brings me comfort is going to end up being romance. So I did actually pick Well Played by Jen DeLuca. This is the sequel to Well Met by Jen DeLuca, which I read in 2020 and absolutely loved, like 5 out of 5 stars. This is going to be a companion novel. It follows different characters, but we are going to be in the same Ren Fair setting, and I'm so excited. I have heard that this is not as good as the first book for some readers. They were just expecting like another notch up, and it wasn't quite there, but I am super excited about it. I mean, we also have a cat down here, if we can even see, but yeah, another Ren Fair romance, and yes, I definitely need to read it, and I'm sure it's going to be a nice, fun, comfort type of read. Then the next prompt is the free space, so we're going to skip that one and go to Ancient Grimoire, which is a book that is 400 pages or more. For that one, I'm going with Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. This book is like just over 400 pages, which I think is perfect. I didn't want to like bog myself down too much because I am doing one book per prompt, and I cannot wait to read this one. This is a middle grade fantasy. It sounds really intriguing. I'm pretty sure there's a competition in here, and a lot of my friends through BookTube absolutely love this book. I have not heard like anything bad about it. I am so excited for it, and obviously, in case you couldn't tell, this one is going to fulfill my Buzzwordathon prompt to have a name in the title of the book because we have Amari, who is our main character. The next prompt is Bag of Teeth or a creepy book. For this one, I'm going to be going with a graphic novel, which is Long Lost. This is by Matthew Ehrman and Lisa Sturl. I actually have both volumes here because this is the whole thing. Only 2 volumes of this. I think it's an indie comic more than a graphic novel, but I could be wrong. But basically, this is supposed to be a very sort of creepy, interesting story where we have 2 estranged sisters who are going back to their hometown because of a creature, I think, that tells them something about their mother. I don't know much else. All I know is it has the 2 sisters and a mother, and there's some sort of creepy aspect going on with this. And I'm saying I'm going to read both volumes because I do feel like after I read the first one, I'm gonna want to read the second one, especially since this is the entire story. The next prompt is Incense, which is to read a book in your favorite genre. And for me, in case you were not sure based on a lot of the videos I've put up lately, my favorite genre is sci-fi. I don't read enough sci-fi, but it is one of my absolute favorites. And so the book I picked for this is going to be Prime Deceptions by Valerie Valdez. This is the sequel to Chilling Effect that I read last year and really enjoyed. This is a series that the first book was compared to Firefly and Mass Effect, and I feel like it definitely lived up to like that comparison. And I don't actually know where we're going with this one because the first book follows our main character of Eva, who is trying to get her sister back from a crime syndicate called The Fridge because they like cryo people to keep them as like collateral. So we had a lot of missions of her trying to figure out how to get her sister back and doing jobs, that kind of stuff. I don't know, like I said, where we're going after that, but I'm super excited for this one. We also have psychic cats in these books, and we didn't get like a ton of them in the first book, but I'm curious to see how they're going to play a role in this next one. And then finally, our last prompt is Chalice, which is to read a book with something elemental. So for that one, I am finally going to read The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. This is the 3rd and final book in the Poppy War trilogy. I absolutely loved the first one when I read it last year. I really enjoyed the second one as well, and I have kept putting this off since I bought it in November because I am scared to read it. It's not necessarily that this is going to be scary or creepy. It is just more that the first 2 books were very dark and had some big emotions with them, and this is the last book in that series, and people have said it's absolutely devastating and that it broke them and like that kind of thing. And so for it to be a finale, I'm scared of it, but I definitely need to do it. I can't keep putting it off. I don't want to keep putting it off. This is one of those books that I need to read before the end of the year anyway because I need to do it. So yeah, we're finally going to read The Burning God in June after I've had it for over 6 months. And so that is it. I actually ended up with 9 books, 8 for the readathon prompts technically, plus the Warded Man, although like I said, it might fit into a prompt anyway. If you guys liked this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye!